potential debate. I don't know if it's going to happen or it's not going to happen between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. Well, first of all, what do you know about it? Like, I want to know before I even put where are you on that? How do you see it taking place right now? Because this is, guys, this is really not a small issue, especially at this very moment where we're going into such an important election. These are two very important voices. Obviously, one larger than the other one. Obviously, one was the employer, and the other one was the independent contractor that was employed by. The obviously one of them has a lot of financial resources, makes a net worth is hundreds of millions of dollars compared to somebody who's barely into that $5-10 million mark, but growing aggressively, became an important voice. So Ben and Candace Owens right now, for me, probably the worst time for something like this
For
to
them
be
to be in
happening.
conflict.
Precisely based on, because these
Yeah.
are two conservative voices
Yeah.
that are really important out there, and now we got to pay attention to what the hell is going to happen between the two of them,
Yeah.
and it takes away from
Everybody being on
being in
same-
alignment.
which
You
is
know what I
what you
mean?
were just saying.
To have a conversation and to have, which is what we're saying before, that sense of unity where everybody is literally singing the same tune, opposed to here we're gonna fight it out because we don't agree on one of those important foreign positions. And what's your take on this thing?
So for me, by the way, losing Candace in the Daily Wire, they say that it was fire, but it is a loss for the Daily Wire. Forget about the way that you want to spin
So
it.
you see it first and foremost as a net loss.
It
to
is
Daily Wire.
1,000% a net loss. Who's left that is a woman in that platform that has even a platform? Brett? Like, by the way, she's amazing. Brett Cooper. I love her. She's hilarious, but she's a little kid. You know what I mean? So it's like they don't have anybody, any woman that has a credibility. So it's like I'm paying attention to that, and I'm saying, so this is a boys' club. You know, it's like the cigar thing. It's very, it had that vibe, but Candace had the opportunity to be there, and she will bring something to the table. The moment Candace is removed, it's like, it's a boys club. You know what I mean? And nothing against boys club. I believe that they're super important. Boys should have their clubs and they should be able to do that. But the impact that the Daily Wire has, or that they would like to have, and the influence that they would like to have in the conservative community, I think is shaken down, especially because you need both. You know, there are two genders, male and female. And so you need both men and women to be paying attention to that. So I do believe it's a turn off, because when you're looking at the TV and it's like, this is just boys talking about boy stuff, it's kind of like annoying. If you're looking at it from that perspective, looking at them go at it like that, es que like,
So would you like to see the debate taking place or not? Do you think that would be a good thing for everybody to see? Who do you think wins even if they lose? Who do you think loses even if they win? How do you?
I believe that Candace is que like, Ben Shapiro is claiming something that is not there.
Which is?
Anti-Semitism.
Okay.
I believe
So she's being accused of being an anti-Semite.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But he's not. She's not saying anything to that regard. What she's saying is, I'm Team God. You know what I mean? It's like Christ is King, and so it's like how it's the same concept, and we're probably gonna get punched in the face for saying that, but it's the same concept of BLM, right? So everything is racist. They're pulling the same card, so everything that is connected to anything remotely close to is anti-Semitic. And I don't think that is the same way that the Daily Wire, specifically the Daily Wire, is like you cannot call racism for everything. You shouldn't also be able to call anti-Semitism for everything. And so that is just the way that I look at it. It is a black eye for conservative voices, but again, it is connected, but as far as the party goes, going back to the party, I think the party is a little bit more unified, which in return will get these two to sing the same tune at some point in the future. I hope it's sooner rather than later, because we need both voices to be collaborating, even if it's in different platforms.
I think, for me, this is good for Candace, no matter how you flip it, twist it, or turn it.
That's true.
Right now, I feel like she's on a run right now to elevate her position as a voice. And she's doing a good job where, at the end of the day, I heard that, regardless of whether it's good or bad publicity, publicity is still good.
Good publicity, bad publicity.
You
as
want
long as
yeah,
your name is out there.
correct. So I don't see how in any way, because especially with what you're saying, where if an argument that you're saying I'm doing something wrong is not true, or you're not going to be able to prove it, I'm going to take that fight every single time. Number one, because I know I'm going to win, and number two, I just want to be out there fighting somebody. Competition is good no matter how you flip it, twist it, or turn it. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to be better for her. I think she's going to be able to hold her own to where she's going to come out looking like the victor. So I think it's a good look for her no matter how you twist it.
I agree with you. I think this is a net loss for the Daily Wire for many reasons. You know what I mean? And Candace right now, if you can have one of the biggest names in the country, constantly mentioning your name,
Correct.
You're winning.
Yes.
And then the second thing is that the essence of the argument, whether there is a discrepancy of how the whole situation is being handled in Gaza, right? And the fact of the matter is that you have to be able to say, guys, we already got past to anything that can be considered humane levels of interaction when it comes to how this is being fought. Do I agree 1,000% with the fact that all Hamas has to do is release the people that have been held hostage? That would immediately trigger a ceasefire. They don't want that. There's so many people that don't want this fight to stop because this is just the triggering point for many other things that some people feel that they have to happen in that whole area, whether it's Iran, whether it's the situation with Hezbollah in Lebanon, there's so many things that they want to use. They want to use this moment to see if they can do the kind of cleanup, which I'm sure is not the kind of language that anybody who is either Arab, Muslim, or consider themselves Palestinian would like to hear. But this is not. Once this door was open at this level. Like, what's going to come out of it? Everybody, how did you not know? What did you think was going to happen? This whole issue about the theological argument about, Christ is king, which has been mentioned by multiple rabbis that she has either had an issue with or debated. And their argument always says, but you don't understand our theology. Get it. Let me give the same statement right back to you. You want your theology to be respected and your religious principles to be respected. Well, at the same time, what you're doing is you absolutely ignoring the theological position of the other person. For us, and I mean in my Catholic Christian tradition, that's one of the titles that was assigned
right.
to Christ. Christ is king, right? And by the way, this has biblical implications. This is going to Pontius Pilate, coming to making the choice to put above the cross is exactly that statement. Jesus Christ, the Nazarene, the King of the Jews. And at that point, the Jews that were present, and please, can we not forget that Christ was a Jew also, right? Like the people that were present there literally said, can you not put that? And he said, what is done is done. Right? So it was a Roman that created a statement that later on was embraced by way of a belief system. If I believe that Christ is the Messiah, if I believe that Christ is one of the persons of the Trinity, meaning I see him to be as God, the least of my problems is to call him king. Obviously, right. That's an easy one. And somebody is having an issue with that theology, and they call that anti-Semite. You're calling 1.7 billion people in the planet anti-Semites, because most people that happen to be Christians, they have no issue with that title. So this is not an issue to them. This argument it has a lot of losses for a lot of people, very little to win, very little win, except for Candace Owens.
Correct.
She can actually, if I was her, because right now they're still debating who's going to do it. Even I think that Ben was not happy even with Patrick and Valitainment, because he offered volunteers well, you're also supporting something that about Jews being, it's not the Daily Wire, it's the Daily Jewish Wire. So I don't know who came up with that statement. I know for a fact that it's not something that Patrick will say or Patrick will make a reference. That's not what Valitainment is trying to do. But I definitely look forward to seeing people debating That's something that Valley Taman announced from the very moment that they were, you know what, we want to get to the point where we can have people that don't agree, different positions.
Do it all the time.
She's going, listen, this is not going to be a 10x moment for Candace Owens.
Yeah. So 100x.
She's going to come up with her own network. She's going to come up with her own. You mark my words. This is something that is going to take her to become $100 million wealthy, 200 million. Because we have a lot of people that are saying, you know what, you look like you're getting bullied now. The whole argument about the creation of the Daily Wire was, we can see coming down the cancellation of free speech. So we're going to be ahead of this. We're going to prepare you. Any voice will be allowed to be part of this platform. Now his argument is that we are publishers and we can choose what to publish, what not to. You just came up with what you believe was a reasonable argument to what you yourself, Ben Shapiro, consider an unreasonable argument. And now you're trying to cancel somebody that doesn't agree with you, whether it's a political, ethnical, because there's also ethnic and involved here with being Jewish or not being. He's obviously a pro-Israel. You should be proud of your heritage. You should be proud of your culture. But be very careful, because the argument that Candace is making is, you know what? I'm an American. And America comes first.
Which
and
is the
Ben,
position
you
that he has.
you are Jewish, but you are also an American. You're born here, and America should come first. If you only see it through the lens of religion, through the Jewish tradition, then what you're saying is America is not first. And by the way, a lot of people that are Orthodox Muslims, will also say Sharia law comes first. The Constitution doesn't even come close to any man-made laws don't even come to. For us, Sharia comes from Allah. Therefore, that comes first. They make it very clear. There's no such a thing as America first. For us, is Islam is that law that was given to us by God. That's a clear position. I'm like, at least I know where you stand. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ben has been claiming different things. Ben has been an important voice, especially right now that we're going into election. For me, the biggest loss is the fact that you are going to create a distraction when right now all you should be talking about is how do we keep this election going the right way, getting the right people, opposed to being distracted with this. There's a lot of people that are absolutely happy that this distraction is taking place. Yeah.